Well, it has just gone 6 o'clock, and a very warm welcome. Good evening, South Africa and the world globally, wherever you're watching online. This is the Pat Komafani Conversation. And as you know, every Thursday we host leaders in South Africa. We host game changers. We host people that have done things that have made the rest of us that are watching to say, wow. And it is my privilege, Namhlanje, to host someone. We've come a long way together, and the story is really, really, really long, but you'll get to know about it right now as we conclude Women's Month. Not only in South Africa but around the world, but it has been our choice, it has been our dream, and it is our privilege, no doubt, to host the group executive SABC Radio unada Wotshela sibizana msasazi mna naye because of our long history on radio. Msasazi, what an honor to have a conversation with you and to spend an hour with you this evening. Thank you for agreeing.
It's an honor, Msasazi, Mandukbulise, and your viewers, wherever they are. It's really an honor to close Women's Month with this interview.
Wow. Well, I remember way back in 2010, wawusithi kumsasazi izawuthini ke le program yakho ndathi ke mna ke breakfast early express wathi msasazi ikhumshile msasi khawuhambe uyoyisebenza ibuye noko inhle inesixhosa. It did not take even 24 hours labuya igama elithi breakfast eyondlayo ekuseni. And thank you so much. I think I need to say these thank yous even before singene kwistory sakho, to say thank you for ever believing that Upat Komafani could make a difference, when the station was on a little bit of a struggle with the breakfast show. And indeed, Nyange Saitata, Saibeka Pezulu. And thank you so much for believing in me. And I think because you are a visionary, a lot of things that people have seen with the breakfast show, you saw them way back, even before Said Alice. But the show is not about me. This conversation is not about me. This conversation now, interestingly, is about you. We have come here to celebrate you. We have come here to understand better, South African radio and all the radio stations in your portfolio. What you do now, that many people don't know about. Unada Wotshela wayaphi namhlanje ke bayayazi into yoba umsasi nguye ophethe abasasi abaphethe abasasi, abasasazi abaphethe izitishi, bonke abo basasazi baphethwe nguwe msasazi. But I think let's start this great exciting journey right at the beginning. Uqale nini ukuyazi msasi into yokokuba nawe you would one day carve your niche radio up in South Africa? Just take us through that journey when you first did it, and here we are today.
Msasi, I wish I can tell people ukuba ndandingumntana ozibona ekunomathotholo, ndandingumntana owayefuna uqhaqha iradio, but I was never that child. I think it's a radio because I was exposed to it from a very early age. I took it for granted. To me, it was a job that my dad wakes up in the morning to do. So I thought, I would carve my niche in other spheres, be it law, be it medicine or anything. I was one of those kids that had big dreams. And when I started gravitating towards media, for me, it was, magazines. When you arrive at varsity, you now have your own money to spend on magazines and books and other things. So, I would buy magazines like or Cosmopolitan and others. And I thought, okay, I love reading, I love writing. Maybe I want to be an editor of a big, famous magazine. But, as luck would have it, it destiny, I was channeled towards radio after ndiqibile esikolweni, and it was a move that I welcomed and embraced, and found later that I'm quite passionate about it, actually.
And I got to ask you this: did Elfez have anything to do with it when you ultimately then got into the radio space? Did he say, "Nad, kaungene kulo mcimbi"? Nothing down.
Not well, indirectly, Patco, because when I joined the radio station, it was a radio station that a friend of his and also a family relative was involved in. I'm sure you know Buti O Mbechu. So when Buti O and the consortium, your Butsisa Tabata, started Ubuntu radio in 1996, I think. I had just graduated from university the previous year and tried to dabble in other things like any young person. So when they started the radio station, I would say yes, unegalelo kuloo nto, because yayizizihlobo zakhe ezi that were starting, and they said unomntana nawe angeza, if akho nto ayenzayo, and come and experiment, because it was really an experiment. And then that's when Umduke started fiddling with certain things. But can I put together a program? Can I do this? Can I read the news? Can I, and we tried. We were very fortunate at a very young age. Abenalo opportunity, abenalo access kwababantu who were also trying out something new in South Africa.
My guest tonight in conversation with Nada Wotshela. She's the group executive, SABC Radio. Okay, we're going to talk about that, but I just want to take a step back before even we get to that. Is it at CKI that you really got your nails into it and biting positions of responsibility, mhlambi from on air? And on air ngeli xesha usengumsasazi omtsha, what were you doing? And were you also from that generation that was hired, and the Kumuleza contract zethu zazisithi announcer, producer, translator, yonke lento ibe kule contract iyi-one, and then mhlambi khawusithathe for the sake yokukhumbuza nabantu abasibukeleyo, from on air to positions of senior positions and positions of authority.
Look, ndiyile CKI Patco after the stint at Ubuntu, because Ubuntu was a community radio station, kwakungekho growth, and it was more on a voluntary basis. So stipend the following month. So Umdu wanted to do this thing now for real. I wanted a real job. So an opportunity came about at CKI. Through another family friend, Veve. So he, andihlebele uba kukho umuntu ohambayo ndinokuza mos ndizobamba, because noko sendifumene experience eUbuntu. I think yayingubhuzi Mabona who was leaving CKI at that time to join, I think, YFM. She did a stint at YFM, she was coming to Joburg. So uBudvusi ke andibize thatha ibhekana zam ndibheke eMonti, because I was gonna stay with my relatives in East London. So the experience as a CKI was like a first professional environment where you are now reading news, you have a boss who quality checks your work, njalo njalo. So that was my first bite at broadcasting now for real and to a real audience. Then to get a permanent job, ndifumene mhlobo wenene, because nase-CKI, I remember ngeli xesha mna ndiyijoyinayo i-CKI andizifumenanga eza contracts zeni umsasazi, because i-CKI was hanging in the balance future yayo. They were transitioning from Radio Sky, the Sky broadcaster, and ibingekabi nandawo ncam kwi-SABC at that time. Radio Transkei could fit into umhlobo wenene. So Radio Transkei integrated successfully into umhlobo wenene. Now CKI inesingesi, it's got this commercial flavor. I fit ncam kwezi zitishi sezikhona ze-SABC. So it kind of hung in the balance. We could decide uba izawuthwani nale nto yale CKI. And sense uncertainty. That's why a lot of people were leaving. Then, and you asked about what I was doing. I presented the program, Kabuzi, when she left. I think it was 9 to 12. Was doing 9 to 12, and then there was another program.
Wawusithini xa uyivula?
Hi, man, Sasi. And remember, I was feeling big shoes. Ubhuzi wayinela gujo lakhe lithi bhuzi, bhuzi, bhuzi. I had to create my own or intro.
Yeah.
So when another opportunity came about, mhlobo wenene ke ngoku kulo uncertainty because people were leaving CKI beqonda hey mhlawumbe izawuvela ivalwe nale CKI. And then I got my first contract, emhlobo wenene, and yayifana nale contract uthetha ngayo nayo yayisithi presenter/producer/translate. But that was my first permanent job, and I'm forever grateful for that opportunity because now I was part of SABC for real. Because the CKI, so I was part of SABC for real. I had a real contract. I had medical aid. I had, pension fund, all those things. So it was really great, and I was joining a very big, reputable brand. I was 25, I think, at the time, and it was quite daunting. The joiner apha ozikhale lamaxhego at only 25.
Actually, wawusebenza neentanga zikatata.
Yes, a lot of people who were there yayingabantu bebesebenza notata ngaphambili uqonde ngokuba awuyazi noba i-appropriate nale nto yokuthi tata xa ubiza xa usabela apha emsebenzini.
Babe ke bayisasazi bengayifuni naleyo yokuba uthi tata but hayi mntombam ithi nje bhuti
okanye uthi uzikhali ke umbize ngesiduko ukunxibana.
abasasazi abadibani nalaa nto yokuguga msasa.
Uguga njani?
Itheni?
I guess zizitars abasasazi. Wawusibona phi kungaze kuthiwa bhuti Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And you're right. Actually, this is one of those countries apho kuthiwe umsasazi ugugile. In other parts of the world, abasasazi basasazi abantu bongena engcwabeni. Ufumanise lo tata ulixhego but ungumsasazi, or in a total manner ngumsasazi ofarisha yonke into edingwa yi-audience. You see, because abasasazi mature with age,
xa unomgqumfuzo akho nto ithi ngumntu ona-70 lo.
Exactly. I need that you take us to a position in your career when you could make decisions for umhlobo wenene. And you are now part of management. And what was that first position where you sat with the station manager and whoever it was, and you had to convince the station manager of your innovations and things that you thought the station needed to experience for the first time?
A decision-making position yokuqala yam at the station, you'll remember kwakukho Neil Maybeck. Neil Maybeck was the marketing executive emhlobo wenene. And there I was, to me yayingenza sense ncam le nto yoba there's white person doing the marketing for a brand like umhlobo wenene, which was kind of a traditional brand, interactor with abantu basezilalini, with traditional leaders, with icawe zethu, and all those kinds of people. Now, kula contract ke iti presenter/producer, ufumanisa uba uhleli 8 hours apha emsebenzini, but you're only on air maybe 2 hours. And I thought, there's a gap in marketing. Uyakufuna unela uncediswa. Let me volunteer, khe ndicele uyobamba napha kwa-marketing ndizifunele nje into okwenza apha emsebenzini. So station manager ngoko ubhuti Maybeck Makwa allowed me to go to marketing and assist. And that's when I could now sit in management meetings. Of course, Neil was my senior, but he would bring me along because naye wayeziqonda nokuba zikhona indawo there are gaps, So he would take me along to management meetings and I would present an idea. At the time, the challenge yesitishi was that abasasazi babe badala, abasasazi were retiring, abasasazi were passing away, kwakukho abantu abaninzi nje who were leaving the system, due to natural attrition. And that was also saying to us, we've got an aging staff. And istaff sethu kufuneka noko sisizame uba sifake abantu abatsha. And also there's a lot of competitors that were being licensed at the time. So how are we going to compete with an aging staff? Nezi zitishi zitsha zivelayo. And also the revenue thing, it's always been a challenge in the SABC revenue. We've got this huge but beautiful mandate that some people think does not sell or cannot be sold. So we were trying to grapple with a lot of things. So I was allowed to come into the management meetings and say, mhlambi masenze battle of the DJs and identify young people that could assist us to revamp our lineup in the weekends. We cannot be having the kind of programs that we have in the weekends. Let's do a battle of the DJs. I think that was my first project, my first big project, Battle of the DJs. And that's where we identified abasasas abafana no Lux, abasasas abafana no Sly. So a number of them abanye left the industry, but there's a lot of people that were identified through those projects.
I need us, Msasas. I need us to carry young women with us, classifika, kule part your conversation yetu. In this way, you were young, very young, and you're sitting in management meetings, mostly men.
Yes.
White and black men. Hey?
Not all men.
That's right, yeah. But predominantly men. The industry was dominated by men. There were few women who cracked it to the management, and you were young. Zange kube khona mhlambi amaxesha, and even if we don't go to an extension of mentioning names, if it did happen, zange kube khona amaxesha uqonde into yoba, hey, I was nearly taken for granted up. I had to stand my ground, because as we celebrate women, it then becomes important, particularly in this industry, that there are certain principles and life applications that young women that are watching can know in the Goguba. There's Nada who cracked it and had her ideas, brilliant ideas, young, black, beautiful, intelligent, and cracked it ngokwezo merits. Weren't there times when you felt in the Goguba, oh, manphume kulo, because akekho kulendi kuyo?
No, there were plenty. There were plenty of those examples when our Patco. I mean, age, number one, was turned into an obstacle in certain things. Uzawuthi uthetha nomuntu omdala nomsasazi. Umsasazi akuxelele nje kakuhle uba hayi mntana ndini kudala ndasasaza manje ndizoyenza le nto ngolu hlobo. And you're like, no, but sisemsebenzini apha unothi mntana ndini. And I'm sure you can imagine uba ngubani owayinothetha loo nto. But you have to find a way yokumhlalisa phansi uthi hayi ma ndiyacela bhuti bani akusekho ngoko kaloku ngoku silapha ngoku, and these are the challenges that you are facing as the station, especially when I became program manager, because as marketing, challenges were different. But nalapho ke kwakufuneka ubaxokelela abasasazi. For instance, I remember an event sisedurban. You'd find that omnye akafuna uvuka, ungumntu owaziwayo uba akavuswa, kodwa ii-OBs ziyaqala ngo-9 and you need all of them to be at this event at 9. Funeka ke uqamba okay mandimyeke okanye umcenge uba ndiza kupha ixesha lolala xa siyigqibile le nto sizoyenza apha mhlawumbi ngo-1 okanye you discuss it the night before uba okay masinike ubani ke angene kule ndawo yakho ngexesha elithile and then wena ke undincede ke phaa upethe in the afternoon. So you learn how to work with people obazi ii-challenges zabo and you find a way around them. But zaziba khona ezo zinto umntu athi hayi mntana ndiqhela uyenza ngolu hlobo mna le nto and andizoxelelwa nguwe okanye asizovana ke uba uzayenza ngolu hlobo. There were those instances, but I think I was fortunate because abanye babasasazi yayingabantu endibaziyo endikhulela phambi kwabo endikwaziyo noba mhlawumbi xa ndiqonda uba hayi ke noko ngoku asivani ndihambe ndiyohleba ku-station manager uba amani asivani apha nomsasi akafuni uyenza le nto athi hayi no mandikulungiselele. And I had a supportive station manager ke endandirepota kuso when I was program manager. So it made things quite easy. I think into xa iqala apha entloko le buy-in xa iqala apha entloko uba we need to change, we need young people that are going to assist us to move the direction esifuna ukuyihamba kuba lula noko. So I had that support, but kwakunzima Msasi, and I was the youngest member of the team. I was female. Abantu babe management nabo they were in management because they were senior specialists or suppose noma makama asi I think nomfundisi uKwaqane bebengomama get that were quite supportive. But when I became program manager, I was also now their boss. So it was quite it was really something zazi yayikhona iminqanza, but ngenzondelelo and leaning on other women ababekhona abasendibakhankanyile.
Did you have to quit a project uqonde into yokuba ii-principles zam apha ndingunada Wotshela nje azizovuma into yoba kucace into yokokuba lo ubhuti uzawucinga into yoba sawuthowisha i-agenda yakhe, bekhona isincwaso, and because you are young, beautiful and gifted uqonde yabona ke le ndixolela uyiyeka le for my integrity.
Look, yes, mhlawumbi not in the station, but in terms of projects that sometimes we would do ne stakeholders zethu, we would partner with people. Some would come as a proposal, and then athi awubona uba ingathi ayiva kakuhle le proposal aqalise ke ngoku uthetha ngesincwaso, maybe thinking uba that's gonna soften you ukwazi uvuma le proposal. I've had to quit such projects. Ndiqonda hayi no, if andinokuyibizela omnye umntu mhlawumbi ndithi okay ndicela uthethe nalo bhuti nirane le project, okanye if akho mntu unoyenza esitishini ndithi no, it's okay, singayiyeka le. And abantu abangobhuti ke uzawufuna uphula irenk ahambe ayokuxela emntwini acinga uba umkhulu kunawe, and I've enjoyed the protection of the people that I have worked with. Uyawuya nayo ke kwezo ndawo acinga uba izawundibuyela mhlawumbi kakubi, kuske kuthi hayi well if uthi akayiva thina sikhokelwe nguye kweli candelo. If it's a programming matter, sikhokelwe nguye kwi-programming. If the program manager doesn't have buy-in, then akho nto sinoyenza. Okanye if our marketing person akanokwazi ke lokhu umntu umarket into angayivayo apha kuye. So so I've gone through those things, and it's so sad ke Msasi uba zizinto nanamhlanje abantu ababhinqileyo abathi go through zona le nto yesincwaso. Abantu bethu into ye-sexual harassment, they still can't get it. I mean, sibane campaigns in the SABC, there are campaigns in the country to say no means no, but ikhona nje le nto ingade ivakale ncam apha kubantu abangootata when it comes to sexual harassment and relationships with women in the workplace.
My guest today, Nada Wotshela, She has gone through every step in terms of career growth, from being a junior announcer with no contract, from being a volunteer, earning a stipend if the community station was lucky enough to have some funds, to being a junior announcer, to being an announcer, senior announcer, marketing assistant, marketing manager, programs manager, and ultimately then station manager. Wow. Let's talk a little bit about station manager. In the conversation, we will touch on how COVID-19 has impacted the industry. We will touch on a whole lot of things, but I would want us to talk about what I saw reading from where I was, what I saw as huge milestones and achievements, Msasas, in the history of the station. Uh, uh, from the Radio Tosa brand to Umhlobo Wenene brand. And just just probably a few of those highlights.
Um, okay. Okokuqala Msasi ndibe station manager qala True FM 2005. And that's when I realized that I can do this, actually, and that's when I realized ukuba noko isibindi ndinaso, because i-mandate yam SCKI was quite huge. It was massive. We had to integrate, number one, CKI into SABC. We had to find a niche for the station, because the reason why the station could not be integrated in the first place into the SABC is because of it didn't have a niche. So we had to sit around the table with radio management then, bandibuze uba okay, xa unosinikwa esi sitishi ungenza ntoni? What's going to be your niche? And I said, okay, maybe a youth radio station, because there's Umhlobo Wenene, and the station right now is encroaching on a territory of Umhlobo Wenene. There's Metro FM, or Dominator East London, and the station is encroaching on the Metro because of its engagement and commercial flavor. We don't have a youth radio station, especially in the PBS portfolio, because we had 5FM as a commercial youth station. And at that time, 5 was targeting white people, maybe colors and Indians, but it wasn't really a black radio station. So it made sense to now start a youth station. So it was big decisions that had to be made, because now uyafika abantu balapha bathi baqhele ukusasaza ngolu hlobo, and we're saying, no, we're talking to youth now. We have to do things this way. We had to let go of a lot of people that were with the station for a number of years. We had to introduce the SABC way of doing things. I had to introduce the SABC way, because now I had been with Umhlobo Wenene for 5 years, 6 years. So now I had learned how processes and policies and procedures as the SABC, were like, and getting to CKI at that state. The previous policies and whatever other policies that people make up along the way, because direction. So I had to introduce the SABC way of doing things, and it was tough for other people to accept. I remember CKI, the newsroom was reporting to the station. Everybody was reporting to the station manager. And I thought, izawundichana le yoba wonke umuntu olapha kule building azoguqa kum xa kufuneka ebheke elantshini. I was like, this is how it's going to work, basasas. CKI, or whatever we're going to call it, is going to run like a radio station, a business unit of the SABC. Newsroom is going to report to news. Nancy, a news editor, and logistics. This is how things are done at SABC. Logistics reports to this person. This is the structure. Now, to try and entrench a structure, now people were feeling bayalahlwa ngokubona, we're feeling uba inoba indlela yokugxothwa kwabo bazawuphelelwa ngumsebenzi apha, hey kufike elinye ibhulukazi. But it had to be done. It had to be done, and namhlanje the station is fully integrated into SABC, and the road towards True FM, that process of finding the new identity for the brand, that process of launching this new station with new talent, and it was the most exciting thing that I had ever done in my life. It was really, really great, and that's why when we relaunched, I felt my work is done here. On to the next, which was now station manager Umhlobo Wenene.
And station manager Umhlobo from CKI, it was a bigger platform, hectic, with business units, eMonti, eBisho, eMthatha, and all of these places, and including nale deployment yabasasazi. I mean, how did you manage that? Because not only did you run it effectively, but you succeeded.
Msasi, it really was a mammoth task to take up a brand as big as Umhlobo Wenene, a brand that is so well entrenched, enendlela zayo zokwenza izinto, ene-traditions zayo, ene-stakeholders ezibalulekileyo. I mean, xa usi-station manager somhlobo, one day uzifumana uhleli etafuleni nopremier wephondo, uzifumana etafuleni nominister, uzifumana useKapa ku-premier waseKapa, uzifumanisa uko somashishini abakhulu, traditional leaders, funeka uzazi zonke ezi protocols, nendlela yohandlisha i-conversations nabo bonke aba bantu. Singekathethi ngabasasazi apha ngaphakathi. Luckily, I had been with the station for, a few years before. So, ndandisazana ndiqhelene nabasasazi nendlela okwenziwa ngayo izinto esitishini. But suddenly, one, was catapulted kule platform, kwesi stage sikhulu ke ngoku, where everybody is looking at you. Uba uzawukwazi na ukuyenza lento. But I mean, I was also a listener of the station, so I knew uba zindoni quick wins. I knew that you're not gonna do this thing without a breakfast show eluqilima, because that sets the tone for the entire day. You're not going to do this thing without a marketing department, established, enabantu who will be respected by the staff, and who will be respected by your stakeholders, who will be respected by business. So I had to focus on building that marketing department. I had to focus on building a programming department that is running efficiently. And I had to focus on developing talent, that was going to stand the test of time, because amagqala ethu, had retired, some babesekhona, but ubona uba noko ngoku badiniwe sebejonge ngasekhaya. So we had to work on a few quick things. But another project that was also quite exciting was the project to rebrand the station, the corporate identity project. Remember sasinala logo ebamba izandla.
Yeah.
And we had to go through, I had to go through the same process that I went through at True FM of rebranding the station, even though we're not repositioning Umhlobo, but it was just a corporate identity thing. It was a very exciting project, and it was a quick win. So we got on that one. Sawina ezinhlizweni zabaphulaphuli, they welcomed the logo that we still have now. They welcomed it, and we tried to work on our programs, because now we could not relaunch a station uthi corporate identity, but still the same thing. We had to have imaging. We had to do an imaging project. For the first time, Umhlobo had professionally created imaging. Ubusakhumbula la ngoma ka Slick Angel ithi molo kaloku. I worked with David Mashabela, also 2000, right now already 2000. David Mashabela had a company that was doing that kind of work. So David presented to the ad agency, and we, he played around with a few ideas, and then he introduced Slick Angel. Of course, Slick Angel is an artist, they say Eastern Cape, close to our hearts. And we said, okay, fine. Apa, you've chosen the right person. So we gave him go ahead. Slick ayobhala identity now, the on-air identity yomhlobo, and he came up with the song Molo Kaloku, and we then created a whole lot of imaging around that song. So that was another exciting project that introduced a new era on Umhlobo Wenene.
Are there aspects of your time Mhlobo, and I know that there's probably no way you would go back and lead Mhlobo again, because your career growth is amazing. It's just going one direction, and that direction is going just high towards the skies. And is there one aspect of your leadership, your management, your achievements, but one aspect of content about how I wish we could have done that one better?
Mm-hmm. Zikhona izinto Patco that when you're busy trying to do izinto ezintsha nezinto ezinhle, then ezinye izinto ezindala nizishiye, but uqonda uba zikhona izinto engesingazilahlanga, uyabona. There are programs that people still rave about that we used to do. Uqonda uba mhlawumbi uba sasikhe sayi-improva le program endaweni yokuyilahla, uyabona. But ke, I mean,
for an example.
Yabona eza programs zifana yathathwa yi-TV futhi ukhumbule yangikhumbula ekhaya, no, kumhlaba yayibizwa ekhaya now, and you see how big it is on SABC. But abantu ababekhwaza abantu babo wethu abashiyayo and all that, there were those old things that esasifanele uba mhlawumbe sizi-improvile endaweni yokuzishiya, because we were busy now trying to create this new brand that is appealing to the youth. Ufumanisa uba siyazishiya ezaa nto sizibona as not so cool as izinto that are appealing to abantu abadala. Ezinye izinto that I realize now, maybe the advantage of age, uba zizinto ezi ebesifana uba sibambelele kuzo, eza programs zokufunda incwadi, olwafundo lencwadi. I know usazenza uBig Apple, but ayizonto esisagxinisa kuzo. And I feel xa ndijongile ngoku abantu abasha, because every young person who releases a book ibhalwe ngesiNgesi. If we had focused on incwadi zethu and Xhosa literature, mhlawumbi ngebe baninzi abantu abatsha ababhala ngesiXhosa. And it happens in all languages, because I interact with all stations as a SABC with different languages. Isikhalo sinye sesoba we're not investing in our African languages. We are not
language development.
We're not really, we're playing a huge role, but zikhona izinto ebesinozenza ebesinoba i-legacy enhle kakhulu for us. I mean, there's so many. For instance, music. We stopped producing music. I know we're not in the music producing business. We're more in the music promoting business. But ngala maxesha wo-Elfez kwakukho amaxesha basasazi bakhe baphume bayofuna ii-groups in areas like indigenous music, groups that perform indigenous music, record them, have special programs to play those things. Now, right now, isikhalo artists sinye uba you're not promoting our music, you're so commercialized and all of that. So those are things that I think mhlawumbi ngesihambe nazo xa sikhula naxa sitshintsha and improve on them.
My guest, Nada Wotshela, Group Executive, SABC Radio, and we're talking her career and her philosophy in terms of radio management. As I said earlier, there is no part of this ladder which she has jumped. She has just given herself and dedicated herself in all these. And part of this ladder, by the way, I mean, if you from the Eastern Cape as a young announcer and you find yourself in Auckland Park, um, abanye bethu, we found ourselves doing things at Auckland Park, but my guest Unada did every step of the way. Part of that was when we lost you, Gumhlobo, because you took up a position, you're by provincial general manager at Western Cape. Then it was Eastern Cape, Western Cape. Um, I think your CV is the most decorated black female or black broadcaster's CV. Kakhulu kakhulu kwicala last Eastern Cape. What did this do to you to to take up a responsibility of leading a province from the SABC's point of view?
It was quite an honor, Msasi, but I think it was also Lando Funo's tester. Oba, am I really ready for the next step? I felt I'm ready for the next step now. So when that opportunity came, kwathiwa there's a vacancy at Western Cape, and kwakuphuma umntu ongumama phaya uSisinomfundo, ndaqonda uba I think ndifundile koSisinomfundo, ndifundile nakwabanye oomama endi-interaktha nabo apha e-SABC, oomama uCharlotte Mampane noZamambo. Akukho mntu ozawundivulela olu cango if andilivuli ngokwam. Let me give it a try. I had nothing to lose. Ndafaka i-CV yam, and I was shortlisted. I went to Cape Town for an interview. It had always been a beautiful part of the world that I love, Western Cape and Cape Town, and that building here, SABC phaya indawo endandisoloko ndifilisha at home xa ndivizithile. Indawo endandinakho ukuyoyika yi-Auckland Park le ndikuyo, but xa ndise-Western Cape, it's a place I had always felt uba ingathi kusekhaya. So it was quite natural uba xa kuvela elo thuba ndithrowe nelam igama emnqwazeni. But it was quite a culture shock to get to Western Cape, and it is stitched to the anchor radio station Paya Good Hope FM. And Good Hope is not a station I was familiar with. So I had to learn new things. I had to interact with a new stakeholders, new audience here, Good Hope, and be able, to rise to the occasion. Ndingabadanisa abantu base-Eastern Cape who had groomed me for that position.
Wow, amazing stuff. And later on, then you were also programs PGM for the Eastern Cape. That one probably came with less challenges than the Western Cape. I can imagine the anxieties of the Western Cape or Good Hope, and whether or not the leadership of those kind of radio stations would really want to bite into your ideas. But then you came to even a bigger province then. Am I right? PGM for Eastern Cape was bigger than PGM for Western Cape?
Of course, PGM Eastern Cape is bigger. Eastern Cape is a big province. Eastern Cape in dynamics zayo, and Eastern Cape has 2 radio stations. You have these centers in Tata, Bishop, East London. Western Cape yayinayo indlela elula. Western Cape ayikho laa nto the political landscape is different. Ayikho laa nto yokukhahlela kwi-politicians all the time. I-politicians zase-Western Cape bezingabantu abayigcina i-distance from, between zona ne-public broadcaster. They would come to the public broadcaster when they have to. And, even the stakeholders, were quite different. But bebenayo indlela abawenza lula umsebenzi wakho ngayo. Culture was quite different. Now, when it comes to Eastern Cape and, our political landscape, it's very different. kufuneka ulandele i-protocols, but ke fortunately ndingumntu okhulele e-Eastern Cape, ndibaqhelile abantu esebenzisana nabo, the traditional leaders, the politicians, the clients ebesinazo. So I just picked up where I left off. But it is a difficult province. Asiyonto enokwenziwa ngumuntu ongengowase-Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
That
Mike. Yeah. Well, the time now is, can you believe the time runs so fast? 14 minutes to the hour of 7. You also may ask questions, by the way, or, throw a comment towards Nada Longleba Joseph. It's a very interesting conversation. Msasi, big up to Nada. Watinta Bafaz, Watinti Mbogoto. Wow. Ubulelwa Zuma City. Wow, Nada, we love you. I'm in Durban, but I don't want another radio. This is Tandelumhlobo Kang Ngoku. This said Durban. And I think that was quite an issue with you when you were head of Umhlobo, to make sure that a brand in a impact kuzo zonke provinces evakala kuzo.
Of course, that was a very big thing, because for me, Eastern Cape and Western Cape, the province Umhlobo, the strongholds Umhlobo. So I believed we shouldn't spend too much of our efforts, trying to convince abantu base Eastern Cape nase Western Cape, because already they are part of us. Kwakubalekile uba masiye nakwezinye provinces, masivakale eRhawutini and sibe ne-impact, sibe ne-projects esizenzayo eRhawutini, masibe seDurban and sibe nezinto esizenzayo KZN, and that really grew i-listenership yomhlobo wenene. Abantu abalandela umhlobo wenene bawulandela noba baphi na.
Question ephuma kuBongi Uluminati uthi, I want to ask Unada about the challenges of being a woman in that portfolio akuyo ngoku, as group executive SABC Radio. Uthi ke potentially mhlawumbe ufumanise into yoba bakhona abantu abebengotata bayibamba yamanqi, and mhlawumbe bakhona nabanye abebengomama before you bayibamba, but what have you found? You have how many heads of radio or heads of radio stations or station managers reporting to you, and what is the ratio your mama kwezo radio stations?
Msasazi, i-SABC ideserva ukuqhatyelwa izandla when it comes to employment equity. I-ratio yethu yoomama, just women employees neyotata, it always kulaa border ka-50-50. Uzawufumanisa uba mhlawumbi komnye unyaka sina 52% oomama, 48% ootata. Komnye unyaka mhlawumbi kuzawuwa abanye baritayarishe okanye barizayine, ishifte nje kancinci, but we're always around that 50-50. And when it comes to management, I think we have more female managers now in our portfolio than ever before, because SABC has really invested in the development yabasebenzi bayo, and abasebenzi abangomama have really been diligent, and they've grabbed the opportunities zokhula, and the policies have been on our side. But yes, zisekhona challenges zabantu abangomama that they faced. Mna ngokunokwam, I wouldn't really say I'm getting a tough time ukuphatha abantu abangotata. I think the fact that I've been with radio and the SABC longer than most of them, it does come with currency engathi inyukile, to the table. So umntu uyakwazi uba athi hayi masimamele apha kuNada because ngoyena mntu apha in this room one-experience kunathi kule nto, so I have really not experienced discrimination or being shut down because ndingumntu ongumama in this current portfolio that I'm holding. But I know that xa usahlela ngezantsi uyaziva izinto ezenzekayo kwabanye abantu abangomama, and it becomes very important for me to step in and make sure that I support them and I assist them kwezo ngxaki badibana nazo, because into yepatriarchy usemkhulu kakhulu umgama ekufuneka sewuhambile to totally eradicate it kwi-society yethu. And iyazibonakalisa emsebenzini, iyazibonakalisa emakhaya nakuzo zonke nje indawo. So I do come across instances where umuntu ongumama mhlawumbi in a particular station feels uba hey andimanyelwa apha, andikhathalelwanga, ilizwi lami laziwa noba yintoni na, and I would have to step in and remind whoever is doing that ukuba we all have rights and we're all here sizosebenza, and everybody wants to see themselves, advance. And when there are opportunities for omama, to take part in development programs, I always make sure they are afforded those opportunities.
Correct. Well, uNtando kaMjoli uthi yena uyanceda usisinada athethe ngelanguage zethu nokukhuthaza ababhali abasakhasayo bababhale ngesiXhosa. Indenza laa nto ndicinge into yoba, oh, by the way, thanks Msasi for contributing encwadini yam ezawulaunchwa next month. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that sawubambana ngesandla nalapha kwi-launch yayo, but I was glad to hear from the publishers that there's an opportunity that a few months down the line siphinde ke ngoku sirelease i-version yayo yesiXhosa. Indivise kamnandi kakhulu loo nto leyo. So very soon sibe kanti sizawufumana abantu abazayitolika ibe kulwimi lwethu. Enkosi kakhulu, ndikhunjuzwa ke le comment evela apha. Now lona yena uvathiswa uthi, in terms of the turnaround strategy, you, Nada, and your team did a sterling job at Umhlobo Wenene. The station is a brand across cultures. Keep it up. And I said it across cultures, and I think Nalandba, you left a legacy Mhlobo yokusivumela singabasasazi into yokokuba sikwazi ukuzi-embrace nezinye ilwimi. Umzekelo, isiSuthu sesinye selwimi zephondo lethu, iphondo i-Eastern Cape. Sukela ko Mount Fletcher phano Matatiel, the Southern Drakensberg, kwaba isuthu abaninzi. And so laa nto nangaphezu kokokuba isisitishi solwimi lwesiXhosa bekuba mnandi, nangoku kusemnandi ukuba uve into yokokuba ziya-embracewa nezinye ilwimi. Mandikhawuleze Msasi, ngenxa yokuba ixesha lisishiya seyi-8 minutes to 7, khawuleze nje ndiye kwindawo ethi ukufika kwe-COVID-19 kufike ne-disruptions ezinkulu, not only across the world but across different industries and sectors. Broadcast was by no means an exclusion, and radio in particular. And I'm trying to think into mhlambi nakwa radio niena, how did you find it disrupting the flow ye-radio i-COVID-19? Did you also lose mhlambi abasasazi to COVID-19? Did you have to implement drastic changes in the radio stations zenu because of the COVID-19?
Fortunately, Msasazi, we have not lost anyone to COVID-19, but we've had to come up with new ways of doing things. This is a new normal. Thina singabona abantu bakuxelela nge-new normal manyani. We've had to, leapfrog into izinto esingazange sazenza. Abasasazi basasazela emakhaya ngoku. Abasasazi would be broadcasting kwi-OB van just outside the building, because we've had to come up with ways ezizakwenza uba bangasoloko besestudio bonke, masibohlulahlule, omnye uba uphandle kwi-OB van, omnye usekhaya, makabe mnye lo usestudio, So we've had to come up with new ways of doing things. Our meetings are happening virtually, and even stuff that we offer to our advertisers, we've had to come up with new concepts to sell to them, because asikwazi uya kwi-OBs ngoku akazothi xa elontsha u-Tiger brand a new product sithi baphulaphulise nize nizoyi-experience le nto, nizoyitaster, nizoyithatha. They can't do that. So we have to come up with new things. Mhlambi sithi, okay, let's give you ambassadors, umsasazi othile apheke ngale product, and then we upload the videos and whatever, and this video sidlale social media platforms zethu, websites and all of those things. I mean, besenawo lo mathuba osebenzisa i-video and other mediums, but ngoku le nto ye-visual radio has become a reality because asisakwazi ukubonana nabaphulaphuli, so kunyanzelekile basibone ngenye indlela. So there's a lot of videos going around, there's a lot of virtual events that are broadcast live by abasasazi. So ngoku abasasazi benze events while people are watching from their cell phones, from their computers, which makes things quite interesting and quite different. And nabantu South Africans have taken up as platforms and they are following us. And I think xa sesikwazi ukuphuma siyosaveya i-audiences, I think sizawubonakala sikhulile kakhulu, because remember also we've had to play a very important role yokushare information. People were confused bengayazi le nto yale COVID uba izawuthini. Kwathiwa yi-lockdown, besamamele ngezi sifo, kwathiwa yi-lockdown. Abantu couldn't imagine uba kuza kwenzeka ntoni xa kuthiwa iqalile le mini ye-lockdown. So we had to break it down. We had to bring ezaa broadcasts zikapresident and the ministers xa bethetha, the National Command Council. We had to bring those things live, analyze and bring experts to make people understand. So abantu were tuned into their radio stations because they were desperate for information. Bebemamela quite attentively. Ndikhe ndahleka omnye we-station managers and sincokole efowunini athi, ye man, is it happening kwezinye izitishi? Because kwesi sam abafowuni abaphulaphule abakhalazi nento encinci le yenziwa ngumsasazi bayakhalaza. I think people are listening more attentively. Abantu basemakhaya bento beqhela ungamameli besezi-ofisini, ngoku umntu unexesha lomamela. So ngoku nempazamo encinci enziwa ngumsasazi uyafowuna umphulaphula uyakhalaza. It was quite funny, but one of those things that is giving us the opportunity yoba nathi sizijonge and make sure that we improve.
And of course, technological advancement, nokudevelopha kwabasasazi kwi-technology ne-social media. Nifumanise into yokuba i-social media is actually not cannibalizing the business. Instead, iya-enhancer, because there's a lot of program ethile kabani live streaming. It's amazing.
It's complementing radio. We've always said social media masingayoyiki, because in our situation as radio, we think it complements a radio. Because what happens, let's say we were on radio right now, Patco, this conversation besizawuyenza sigqibe apha eradioweni, and then we're able to play it back on social media for abaphulaphuli ebebakhange bakwazi ungena and comment, bayakwazi ukhomenta. So sinika elaa xesha nala support yoba xa singayigqibanga on air sizayigqibezela off on the social media platforms, off air. So it has always complemented radio, but right now, le COVID-19, it's played an even bigger role as supporter what we're doing on air.
Well, sasazi ukhona umuntu obhalileyo apha wathi i-part 2 ingathi izawudingeka, because abanye abantu babhizi ibhola, khona abantu ababukela i-Kaizer Chiefs ne-Sundowns. Isithi ingathi i-part 2. And indeed ke nakum apha e-studios khona izinto ebengiqonde ukuba ndiyanqwenela into yokuba khe sithi ukuncokola ngazo. Ndiyanqwenela into yoba khe sincokole about your sense of accountability to parliament. Ndiyanqwenela khe sincokole about that versus profitability ezitishi. Ndiyanqwenela into yokuba sincokole about the way forward, the future with COVID, or future abanye abantu bacinga kukho future post COVID. Khe sincokole about a whole lot of those things. So ukhona obukeleyo othi msasazi ingathi part 2 uzawufuneka ethubeni no Sisnada. Well, Msasi, mhlawumbi our parting short, let me just touch on what is your best wish for SABC radio stations in a country where radio stations are mushrooming left, right, and center, and kube khona ne-online radio naye ufumanise into yoba ifuna ukuzisikela i-piece yeslayi apha kule value chain ekhoyo and stealing advertisers. What's your best wish? Maybe your number one wish or number top three wishes or whatever, for SABC radio stations.
Msasi, i-South Africans, abaphulaphuli be-radio eSouth Africa vote for SABC Radio becimele, belele, nanini na. So that we know that our people, our listeners, they love our radio stations. My wish is for our advertisers, for business, to recognize how important the mandate is, and how the mandate can be used to grow South Africa. The mandate can be used to contribute positively to South Africa, because a lot of business out there, they think that our mandate is not cool. But what's not cool about education? What's not cool about religion? What's not cool about South Africans getting a platform to tell their stories? So izinto sometimes that are of value to us ziye zibonakale zingekho of value to oongxabankulu. So my wish is for all South Africans ukuba ziyibone indima nobaluleka kwe-mandate yezi zikhululo zethu. In our country, it is very important to have this kind of mandate, because kukho abantu abangenalo ithamsanqa lokubheka esikolweni, kukho abantu abangenalo ithamsanqa lokukwazi uba ne-access kwezi platforms that abanye abantu abane-access kuzo. And therefore, I think our stations need support of business and support of all South Africans, because they are doing, umsebenzi on a value enkulu kakhulu in our country.
Well, Msasi, I want to thank you so much. We've just gone a little after 7. And as I say, if you do not have a problem, we will set up a part 2. Also, so we can look at, how big is the part of population in South Africa that listens to your radio stations? How many are those millions of South Africans? I would love that we tap into that. And I would love that even the investors as Bugeleyo, Nesmameleyo program, they may know really, that kind of value. And what would somebody need to be able to get their product advertised with radio stations as SABC. But for today, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate every minute of it. And just celebrate you. Women's Month, celebrate this woman who, compared to no other woman in the Eastern Cape, has risen up to the top of his Auckland Park. And we wish you even nezinye indawo ezingcono kunale ukuyo kule industry ye broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone osijoyinileyo namhlanje, and your words of encouragement and the love that you keep showing me. Thank you so much, Msasi. It was an honor.
Enkosi Msasi. Nada Wotshela nguye ke belundwendwe lethu namhlanje ku-Part Kumafani Conversations, SA Leaders, every Thursday.